Good morning, Los Angeles, and I am so excited to be here in the heart of South LA at the Kedren Community Health Center to highlight how essential and how easy it is to get tested for COVID-19 at this site and across Los Angeles. But first, let me acknowledge some of the partners who have brought us here today. Councilmember Curran Price of the great 9th District, who is here and who was just with us at public housing developments where we're testing everybody who lives in our public housing developments. Christina Davies, who is the extraordinary CEO of Kedren Community Health Center, which was a vision of Dr. James and Mrs. Shirley Jones, who, after we saw the Watts uprising, said it was important for us to have psychological and medical assistance here in South LA, and it's an extraordinary health center run by an extraordinary CEO. Dr. John Griffith, who is president of the Kedren Community Health Center and makes this place work. Capri Maddox, who you've met online here in these Facebook Lives and is our first general manager of our brand new Department of Civil and Human Rights in the city of Los Angeles. She's also the chief of COVID equity, appointed at the beginning of this crisis to make sure we are always using a racial justice lens and looking at equity in our COVID response. And of course, this new up-and-coming actor, I just heard about him. His name's Anthony Anderson. He's a great artist, a great activist, and a leader in this community, and I want to thank him for being here today as well. Thank you. A few minutes ago, Anthony, the council member, and I delivered a shipment of donations for members of the community. These are face masks, this is hand sanitizer, face shields that were contributed by some amazing partners of ours. Wet Design, who manufactured the face shields. They usually make those incredible fountains you see at places like Bellagio. We got Cal OES, your state government, helping us out, Operation USA, and Vietjet Airways, which donated PPE from Vietnam, and we thank them for their friendship and how many people around the world love LA and are helping us during this COVID-19 crisis. So much has changed for our lives over the last few months, but one thing that's remained the same is the spirit of giving that unites us, that we don't know strangers in this city, but we feel a kindred spirit with our brothers and sisters who are suffering in this moment, whether it's been financial help, whether it's been medical help, whether it's the March for Racial Justice that we see on the streets of LA. This is a city that is strongest when we come together. And each of the items we see here donated behind us will be used by the staff and the clients here at the Community Health Center. And all of them will help us stop the spread of COVID-19. Another way, though, to save lives is testing. And we said this from the beginning of the pandemic. Yesterday, we tested more people than we've ever tested in LA County. 20,000 people just through the drive-through and walk-up centers like this one throughout LA City and LA County. Nearly 15,000 of those just in the LA City sites alone. There's now state sites set up, CVS sites that are set up, and we're also encouraging people to go to their providers to make sure that you go to the doctor that you know or the clinic that you usually visit and get tested there as well with somebody that you know and who can also take care of you, especially if you're symptomatic. Here's the bottom line, though. COVID-19 is still serious. Don't let up. It preys on our division. It preys when we get lazy. It preys when we think that it's gone, and it's not. We have a record number of people in our hospital beds right now. And while we have strong enough capacity in our hospitals to meet that need, let's try to avoid anybody else getting into those ICU beds, into those hospital beds, by the things we do, to know our status, and of course, to always do the 4 things of washing our hands, wearing our masks, keeping our distance, and whenever possible, staying at home. This is also a disease that doesn't discriminate in terms of who it infects, but it does discriminate in terms of how it infects. We saw the New York Times giving us the data that Black and Latino people are more likely to work in the service jobs that put them on the front line and at risk, more likely to live in crowded dwellings, and therefore 3 times as likely as white Americans to become infected and to die from COVID-19. Early on here in Los Angeles, as soon as we got data from the county about deaths, and we saw that in the African American community, where 9% of the county is African American, 8 to 9%, 16% of the deaths early on were among African Americans. By putting centers like this up, by pushing out messaging like this, we've brought that down and cut that by 2/3, that race gap. But we've got to keep pushing, because the color of your skin, the discrimination that you face, the pre-existing health condition should not be a death sentence when you get COVID-19. And we're serious about this and serious about this work. We didn't need a study to show us. This racial gap is a crisis. That is a public health emergency that predated COVID-19, but that we can do something about stopping right now. So when we see the truth of how this affects people, we know this can drive the policies that can change that on the ground. We've quadrupled the size of our Crenshaw site, where I worked on Monday as a volunteer. And thank you to all of our disaster service workers and everyone from CORE who is out there, whether it's at Dodger Stadium or other places, volunteering their time to save lives on the front line. It's why we've worked to set up now more than 100 testing sites across LA County. So if you think you've been exposed to COVID-19, please schedule a test today at coronavirus.lacity.org/testing. I'll say one last thing. Tests are not an excuse to go party. Testing shouldn't go towards folks who are like, well, if I get a test once a week, then I can do whatever I want. I can go in backyards and break the rules. I can get together with friends. I don't have to wear my mask. These tests should go to people who have symptoms or who are on the front line and believe that they've been exposed. While we offer tests for everybody, with and without symptoms in LA County, and we are the first big city in America to do that, please make sure that you're not using these tests as an excuse for bad behavior, because that too will spread COVID-19. So don't wait. Again, go to coronavirus.lacity.org/testing or call us at 311 after 5 p.m. or 213-978-1028 during the day. And let's keep doing our part. And with that, let me toss it over to a great leader, not just in this district, but across the city and for our state for many years, a man who is leading our response in COVID-19 in his district and for our economic recovery as chair of the Economic Development Committee of the City Council, Councilmember of the 9th District, my friend, Kern Price.
Thank you, Mayor, for that introduction. It's wonderful to be with all of us today as we just demonstrate the importance of testing, the importance of being involved and committed in our community. I think it's especially significant that we're here at Kedren. Some of you know that this was really the site of Wrigley Field back in the day. And prior to the Kedren Center here and the Gil Lindsay Park, there was a stadium here that was a real icon in our community. And in fact, in 1963, before the March on Washington, 3 months before the March on Washington, there was a big rally here at Wrigley Field. 30,000 people came to celebrate the importance of equity, civil rights. So it was significant that we are back here today. I want to just acknowledge the Kedren Community Center, Health Center, Dr. Griffith and the team who stand tall and who are making sure that resources are available and that we are served. Since its initial launch on April 13th, Kedren has consistently tested more than 200 people a day, 200 people in our community, and that's made a big difference. This includes mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, kids, brothers and sisters, more than 6,000 neighbors who understand the severity of these circumstances and who've been listening to the mayor and others who've been telling us that it's important to be tested. Kedren is a prime example of why we desperately need more testing, in fact, in our communities. Many South LA residents have no other choice but to walk, to bike, or take public transportation to get around. And so your presence here is really paramount. In fact, Kedren was one of the first testing sites in CD9 and the second to serve as a walk-up center, thanks to the leadership of our mayor, and we appreciate that. As the number of confirmed coronavirus cases continues to rise, headlines reminding us daily that we are far from being out of the woods. And testing, again, is just one part of the solution. It's not the total answer, but it's an important part, and one we must take advantage of. We know that our medical partners are in desperate need of personal protective equipment so they can continue to serve our community well, which is why we wanted to be here today for the special delivery to say thank you and to say that CD9 cares, and we are so grateful for this gift that will help our essential healthcare workers serve our community. The donation of face shields, hand sanitizers, and face masks will no doubt save many, many lives. And it will bring peace of mind to the medical workers who have put themselves and their families on the line day in and day out to serve our community. With recent data reporting a substantial spike in cases, we need to do all we can now to slow the spread. And it's showing no mercy, especially in our Black and brown communities. And so we really must take note. which is why I'm excited to be joined today by the mayor and our friend Anthony Anderson, who you're going to hear from in a minute, who is using his voice to not only educate, but to motivate our community in protecting themselves and others against this deadly virus. The coronavirus has exposed long-standing systemic health and social inequities in our communities of color, which means the difference between life and death. With so much of our community composed of essential workers that do not have the luxury of staying home, getting tested, wearing a mask, and socially distancing themselves, all things that are crucially important to combating this disease. I've made it my mission to prioritize getting additional testing sites into CD9 and to making it as easily as possible for citizens to be tested and to protect themselves from getting sick. From walk-up drive-thrus and pop-up sites, we're doing everything we can to keep South LA strong. In fact, we're going to be moving full speed ahead with a partnership with St. John's Well and Child Family Center, pop-up testing sites at local churches, as well as testing at all senior residential facilities in our district with the Central Neighborhood Health Foundation. Our combined efforts will help keep our loved ones safe and our communities moving forward so that we can one day win this war. And we will win this war. So again, Mayor, I want to thank you for your continued support and leadership, directing much needed attention and support to our communities of color. But it's now a special treat that I have to introduce Anthony Anderson, our next speaker. He is a community leader, he is an activist, a philanthropist, and of course, we've seen him on stage and screen. We learned to love him not only on Blackish, but especially on Blackish. But he is always available and accessible. Local boy from Compton, so he's not a stranger to this community. And so we're just so proud and pleased to have him with us today, Mr. Anthony Anderson.
Thank you to the mayor and to the councilman and everyone here at Kedren Community Center, our health center. As it was mentioned, I am a product of this community. My family grew up here. I grew up in the Nickerson Gardens and Watts and Compton, California. I still have family in this particular neighborhood that we stand in front of today. I know all too well the effects of coronavirus and how it affects our community. Fortunately, I have yet and hopefully never have a family member to be affected by this disease, but I've had several friends who have been affected with this disease. My brother works the emergency room at Martin Luther King Hospital here in Los Angeles. He sees it every day. And as the mayor said, you know, getting tested is not a hall pass to go out and to party and to have fun. You know, getting tested is for our essential workers who are on the front line, who deal with people on a daily basis, who need to know if they've been affected by this disease as to not spread it to those out there. So please, you know, visit coronavirus.lacity.org/testing. There are over 100 sites here in Los Angeles that you can go to. All are free of charge. Please go if you feel that you've been in contact with someone or been affected by this and not knowing, because you can be asymptomatic and not know. So please go get tested and listen to what we're being asked to do. We're being asked to wear masks. We're being asked to wash our hands. We're being asked to social distance. These aren't punishments. These are things that we need to do to ensure that we can flatten this curve. I know you've been hearing about flattening the curve. Well, those are the things that we can do to do that. So please adhere to all of the guidelines that are being asked of us. I know it can be an inconvenience, but let's think about what the other side of that is if we don't adhere to those. That's all I have to say. I'm like I say, I'm a product of this community, and I'm just here lending my voice and using my platform to spread awareness and to bring people out and to get us all tested so we can get beyond this. And without further ado, I am going to introduce our next speaker, who has devoted her life and career to uplifting the values and voices of our most vulnerable, and now helps lead Kedren Community Health Center as Chief Administrative Officer, Ms. Christina Davies. Thank you, Sean.
Good morning, everybody. As a born and bred Angelino, dad raised in Olvera Street, mom raised in South LA, I am honored to be here with you today. Mayor Garcetti, Councilman Price, Anthony Anderson, Dr. John Griffith, President of Kedren Health, Dr. Kelly Jones, Sunny Tran, Irene Wilson, our clinic manager, our board president, Renee Woodruff, and Miss Yolanda Whittington, our CEO, whose leadership during this pandemic has been a source of strength and support for all of our employees. I'd like to take this time to thank our primary care staff, who unwaveringly have been here every day to see patients and testing. We've tested over 7,000 patients today. We got the numbers. And we're seeing about 220, 240 people per day. The line's around the block. You can't see it, but trust me and believe, it's around the block. We have never left. We have been here since the pandemic started, seeing our patients, our wonderful physicians, where we have a community health center where we do not deny anybody health insurance because of their ability to pay. So we accept everybody. I also want to say that COVID-19 has tried to break us, but it's not going to, because we're not going to let it, because of the leadership that we have and our commitment to the community. It's important that we wear our masks, we wash our hands, and we social distance. Is it that simple? Yes, it is. Who knew that a mask could protect you between life and death? But it can. So I really ask everybody to adhere to those simple tasks, and we can save a whole generation. We understand that disproportionately, people of color are getting COVID-19. 84% of the community of here at Kedren are Latino, the surrounding community, and they are at risk and they're vulnerable. But luckily, we are here to test everybody. I want to thank Dr. John Griffith for adhering to the call of action to the mayor, to initiating our testing site here at Kedren. It's very important. Thank you so much, Dr. Griffith, for your leadership. We offer mental health services, primary care medical, and we have a food bank which we recently opened in November, which since COVID-19 has tripled due to the staggering economic situation of our community. So I welcome you. I'm glad that the mayor is here to see us and visit us, and I did have him practice his Spanish. He did well. Get an A.
It's coming.
Okay. So I just want to thank you that we are here to serve you here at Kedren, and we appreciate everybody here and recognizing that we are a beacon in this community, and we're not leaving.
Excellent.
Thank you.
And next we'll have Capri Maddox come on forward.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. We're very grateful to be here. I wanted to also thank the Langston Bar Association as well as the Ludacris Foundation for helping us with this event today. I'm proud to stand with the mayor and our community leaders, particularly grateful for Anthony Anderson's leadership to step up and use his platform in this space to make a difference for our community, his community, the community that we all love and need to celebrate. As we move forward, as the executive director, as I move forward as the executive director of the Civil and Human Rights Department, it is my job to work alongside the mayor to root out injustices and bias and do everything possible to level the playing field. And this work has never been more important. As our previous speaker said, COVID is trying to take us out, and it is doing so in in higher numbers than other communities, and we need to step up and take the responsible actions of covering our faces, social distancing, and all of the other suggestions and requirements by law. I'd like to say that our work is it's never been more important. Of course, we have discrimination in so many places, housing, in the workplace, in lending practices, etc. But we know that there's old health disparities that are impacting our communities in a substantial way. We know that our workers are the essential workers, and sometimes they did not have their essential supplies. And so we are very grateful today for the donation that has come forward to provide some of the essential items that we do need for our workers that oftentimes are not allowed to take off from work or to work from home. And we know that in our API community, our Asian Pacific Islander community, our African American community, and our Latino community, we are suffering in higher numbers, and we have to take all the steps possible to make a difference as it relates to this crisis. And I really appreciate the mayor's leadership. I'm just going to say the city of Los Angeles usually isn't in the testing healthcare business, but we stepped up. Anyone can make a difference, and everyone should try. And I appreciate the leadership and the courage of the mayor and all that he's done to help us to flatten the curve. Yes, we have an uptick now, but we have plans, and we're working with our community partners to give testing opportunities, as well as to make sure that we have our outreach campaigns to specific communities of color. And I'd like to also just thank, in closing, the Councilman Price. I appreciate him being a champion for our community, his district, and our entire city as it relates to equity and leveling the playing field. Thank you again for having me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for all you've done on this crisis.
So thank you so much, Capri, Christina. Thank you, Councilmember. Thank you, Anthony, for all of your great words. And I hope the message is loud and clear. I know there's folks, look, we're in the testing business. We don't even have a healthcare department, but we've been trying to stand up and do everything we can to lead on this. And while we had a couple of the sites down for volunteers who couldn't show up over the 4th of July weekend, we are, as I said, setting records every single day in the number of tests. So please, don't party and get a test afterwards. Be responsible always and get a test if you think you need one. And we will be here for you. And thank you to Kedren for just being such a shining light here and all of our testing centers as well. I'm going to say a few words in Spanish, so if you're tuning out, thanks. I'll talk to you guys tonight at the evening briefing. That'll be on TV and on Facebook Live, so tune in. Pero ahora yo quiero decir unas palabras en español por la comunidad, porque es muy importante en esta lucha contra el COVID-19. Y estoy aquí en el Centro de Salud Comunitario Kedren, en el sur de Los Ángeles, el corazón de esta ciudad, para desatacar lo esencial y fácil que es hacerse la prueba de COVID-19 en este sitio y por todo Los Ángeles, en los otros sitios también. Gracias al liderazgo del concejal municipal y el consejo municipal y el concejal Curran Price, el concejal del Distrito 9, por su liderazgo y su equipo también aquí en el sur de Los Ángeles. Este es uno de los sitios en su distrito y su liderazgo especialmente en el desarrollo económico de esta ciudad durante esta crisis es muy esencial. Gracias al activista y actor también Anthony Anderson, un miembro de esta comunidad, un hijo de esta comunidad también, y los líderes aquí en Kedren, y la nueva directora del nuevo Departamento de Derechos Civiles y Humanos también, Capri Maddox. Pero durante esta pandemia hemos sabido que debe priorizar las pruebas de detección. Estas pruebas son gratuitas por toda la gente de Los Ángeles. Y antes de casi cualquier otra ciudad o estado, empezamos la infraestructura para pruebas aquí para servir a todos los angelinos. El COVID-19 sigue siendo muy serio. Todavía le puede enfermar. Y todavía es mortal. Todavía es mortal. Pero es mucho más peligroso en algunas comunidades que en otras, específicamente para comunidades negras y latinas. Y por eso establecimos este sitio de pruebas aquí. Hicimos el sitio de Crenshaw 4 veces más grande de lo que era. Y con el condado agregamos sitios en el Forum y la Universidad Drew en Willowbrook. Y por eso hemos trabajado con socios para abrir casi 100 sitios de pruebas en el condado de Los Ángeles. Este es el nivel más grande en el oeste de los Estados Unidos. Si crees que quizás has sido expuesto al COVID-19, por favor, es necesario tener una cita y una prueba de detección para COVID-19. Aunque tengas síntomas o no, debes hacerte la prueba inmediatamente. No esperes. Encuentra un sitio de pruebas más cerca a ti en la página coronavirus.lacity.org/testing. Y especialmente en la comunidad hispana, la comunidad latina. Tenemos ahora el reto más grande de aumentación en nuestra comunidad. Es muy importante en su lugar de trabajo, tú tienes derechos y necesitas la protección, las máscaras. Necesitamos también las pruebas. En nuestra comunidad, estas existen gratuitas por toda la gente. No importa un inmigrante con papeles, sin papeles, es igual por toda la gente de Los Ángeles. O llámenos si no tiene acceso al internet a 213-978-1028 o al 311 después de las 5 de la tarde. Nuestras decisiones individuales pueden cambiar la dirección con este virus. Y en varios casos pueden hacer la diferencia entre la vida y la muerte en nuestras familias, nuestras comunidades y en nuestra ciudad. Entonces, hagamos nuestra parte. Lleva una cobertura facial, mantenga la sana distancia, lave sus manos y hágase la prueba. Gracias a la comunidad, ganaremos esta lucha. And with that, thanks everybody. Have a good day. All right.